India was once renowned for its prosperity. For centuries it was a land of bustling trade and skilled artisans. Our spices, textiles and jewels were prized across the globe. European powers seeking a share of this wealth arrived on our shores centuries ago. What began as trade partnerships, however, soon morphed into something far more sinister. The British East India Company, with its cunning tactics and superior weaponry, gradually seized control of our land. With it began a long, dark period of economic exploitation. The economic policies of the British were designed to benefit their homeland, not ours. Our resources were plundered, our industries crippled, and our people impoverished. The once thriving Indian economy was systematically dismantled and transformed into a source of raw materials and a captive market for British goods. The British Raj, spanning nearly 2 centuries, left deep scars on the Indian economy. The most devastating blow was the systematic destruction of our indigenous industries. India was once a global leader in textile production, renowned for its exquisite craftsmanship. But the British, threatened by this competition, imposed heavy taxes on Indian textiles, making them uncompetitive in the global market. At the same time, they flooded India with cheap, machine-made textiles from their own factories. This ruthless policy led to the closure of countless Indian mills, throwing millions of skilled weavers and artisans into poverty. The story of the Indian textile industry is just one example of how British colonialism crippled our economy and left it in ruins. At agriculture, the backbone of the Indian economy also suffered under British rule. The British introduced the zamindari system, where absentee landlords were given control of vast tracts of land. These landlords, often more interested in maximizing profits than the welfare of their tenants, imposed exorbitant rents on farmers. Forced to grow cash crops like indigo and cotton instead of food crops, Indian farmers were trapped in a cycle of poverty and debt. The British also imposed heavy taxes on agricultural produce, further burdening the already struggling farmers. Famines became a recurring tragedy, claiming millions of lives. The Bengal famine of 1943, in which an estimated 3 million people died, stands as a grim reminder of the human cost of British economic policies. Beyond textiles, the British systematically dismantled other thriving Indian industries. Shipbuilding, once a source of pride, was suppressed to benefit British shipyards. Metalworking, glassmaking, and other traditional crafts suffered a similar fate. India, once known for its innovation and craftsmanship, was reduced to a mere supplier of raw materials for British factories. This deliberate deindustrialization had a devastating impact on the Indian economy, creating widespread unemployment and poverty. It also stunted our technological progress, leaving us ill-equipped to compete in the modern world. The impact of British rule was not limited to agriculture and industry. The British also neglected education and healthcare, leaving Indians lagging behind in these crucial sectors. The literacy rate at independence was a dismal 12%, highlighting the lack of access to education for the vast majority of Indians. Healthcare infrastructure was woefully inadequate, leading to high infant mortality rates and a low life expectancy. This lack of investment in human capital had long-term consequences, hindering India's development even after independence. While the British did develop some infrastructure in India, it was primarily designed to serve their interests, not ours. Railways were built to facilitate the transportation of raw materials to ports for export to Britain and to transport British manufactured goods to Indian markets. Irrigation projects often prioritized cash crops over food crops, exacerbating the plight of farmers. The little infrastructure that existed was inadequate and poorly maintained. Roads were few and far between, making transportation difficult and hindering trade. Communication networks were rudimentary, limiting access to information and hindering economic progress. At the stroke of midnight on August 15, 1947, India finally broke free from the shackles of British rule. But the joy of independence was tempered by the enormity of the challenges that lay ahead. We inherited an economy in ruins, ravaged by centuries of colonial exploitation. The partition of the subcontinent, which accompanied independence, further compounded our problems. Millions of refugees, displaced by the violence, poured into the newly formed nation, straining our already limited resources. The task before us was monumental: to rebuild our shattered economy, heal the wounds of partition, and lay the foundation for a just and prosperous India. Even today, more than 7 decades after independence, the long shadow of colonialism continues to loom large over India. The economic disparities, the infrastructural deficits, the social inequalities, all are legacies of our colonial past. We continue to grapple with the challenges of poverty, illiteracy, and inadequate healthcare. The task of undoing the damage of centuries of colonial rule is a daunting one, but India, with its resilience and determination, is slowly but surely overcoming these challenges. We are making progress step by step towards building a brighter future for all our citizens. India's journey since independence has been one of remarkable transformation. From the ashes of colonialism, we have emerged as one of the world's fastest-growing economies. We have made significant strides in reducing poverty, improving literacy rates, and enhancing healthcare access. But the journey is far from over. We still have a long way to go before we can truly claim to have overcome the legacy of our colonial past. The challenges are many, but so are the opportunities. With hard work, dedication, and a spirit of unity, we can build an India that is not only economically prosperous, but also socially just and equitable. The dream of our freedom fighters, a strong, independent, and prosperous India, is within our reach. Let us strive together to make this dream a reality.